Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It's a wet one out there. Hope y'all are staying safe and somewhat dry. And I hope that work week is in the rearview mirror. We're brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Another grab bag today, just full of sports across the board. We'll talk in 15 minutes to Preston Guy about LSU in recruiting. Got some thoughts on LSU and Georgia from Foley Field. You'll get mine right now. You're going to get Anthony Dashers, who covers Georgia, in an hour and a half. LSU's got another basketball commitment. Saints rookie minicamp starts today, so I'm going to kind of react to what I see on the internet. We fall at a bad time of the day for Saints coverage today because I've asked two different beat writers. They're going to be at practice like right now, and then practice will end while we're still in the air, but then they go into the locker room for interviews. So I'm going to be kind of picking through the social media stuff, and I'll have some reaction in hour number 2 about Saints rookie minicamp cranking up, and we'll certainly have a lot of reaction to that on Monday. But today's just kind of an awkward time for us. I think you'll get a lot more of that from Matt 3 to 6 this afternoon on After Further View. But we're fired up to be here. Hope you are as well. Let's crank it up.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
All right, you got 6 games to make something happen, Fighting Tigers, and they'll start that this afternoon. Is that fair? Evening, probably a little bit more out. 5 o'clock Central Time from Athens, Georgia, LSU and Georgia from Foley Field. Georgia this year under Wes Johnson, 38-11 on the season. They are 18-6 to lead the Southeastern Conference by 2.5 games. They have had a really, really good season. They've got a talented pitching staff. They've got a lineup that really, really hits, really gets on base, scores a lot of runs, and as you well know, hits the ball out of the ballpark as well as anybody in the country. In fact, better than everyone else in the country, especially in that ballpark, and that's where LSU's got to take them on. I was looking at their home record this year, and something stood out to me. It's that they have not played the best teams in the SEC on their home field. They have traveled for those games. Now, give them credit. They went to Starkville and swept Mississippi State. That's real playing. They went to College Station, and for 2 days, they just annihilated Texas A&M. Now, the Aggies got them in Game 3, but they wiped the floor with them. They went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and played a hell of a weekend up there on the hill. So it's not as if Georgia's not tested. Georgia's plenty tested. But on their home field, let me tell you what they've done. They played Tennessee. And they split the first 2 games of that weekend. In the third game of the weekend, Tennessee had the tying run on base and the go-ahead run in the batter's box. The ball was hit high and deep to left field, and the Georgia left fielder robbed a home run to end the rubber match and keep the go-ahead run from scoring on the homer. Like, that's as close as a weekend series can be. Tennessee played them to that. Now, they swept South Carolina and Missouri at home, as they should, no doubt. But Florida went in there and took 2 out of 3. Now, Florida's starting pitching staff with Aiden King up top and Liam Peterson there in the 2-hole, or vice versa, whatever order they were throwing them at that time. They've switched them back and forth. But that's a really talented pitching staff, and LSU doesn't really counter that. Schmidt and Paz are talented dudes, but Peterson and King have got a lot more skins on the wall. But you look at that, like, Tennessee and Florida have played these guys straight up on that field. Missouri and South Carolina didn't, and Georgia's gone on the road and done a great job. But it's not like they're unbeatable on that field. That's all to say, Georgia's better than LSU. They have a better team than LSU. They've got more proven arms. They've gotten more consistent starting pitching. They're far better on defense. They hit a lot more home runs. They're better. So LSU's task this weekend in Athens is to play its best baseball of the season. That's the task. And you're going to have to do it tonight against Joey Volchko. Now, let me tell you about Joey Volchko. He's 6'4". He's a junior right-hander from Stanford. They brought him over, and when they brought him over from Stanford, he was a big fireball and right-hander. huge fastball, but his ERA at Stanford was 6 in the ACC. Still hard to piece together, but Stanford is in the ACC. So Wes Johnson's brought him in, and they've made some tweaks. And his numbers are not the same. He's far more effective, but he doesn't pitch to the strikeout quite as much. In SEC play this year, and these are a lot of numbers, but work with me, he's got 41 innings. In those 41 innings, 52 strikeouts, good number, 24 walks. So he's walking more than one every 2 innings. He's given up 18 earned runs on 37 hits in 41 innings. So about a hit an inning, about a walk every other inning. He's giving up some traffic. And I'll tell you that there were 3 teams that have had some success against Joey Volchko. A&M did. They knocked him out in the 2nd inning. Arkansas did, and Ole Miss did. In those 3 games, A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss. A&M's offense is way better than LSU's. Arkansas's is not, and Ole Miss is kind of boom or bust. 12 1/3 innings, 11 runs, 10 earned runs in 12 1/3 innings, 19 strikeouts, 13 walks in 12 1/3. He's only given up 1 homer, but 13 walks in 12 1/3. He's got a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He also throws a 95-mile-an-hour cutter. So that's really difficult. The fastball is going to move to the arm side. The cutter is going to move to the glove side. He's got a hard 88-mile-an-hour slider, and he's got this loopy 79-mile-an-hour curveball. It's a lot of pitches. It's a lot of stuff. You'll see the windup, elbows, kneecaps flying everywhere, and he's got a big arm. He's a big-time draft prospect, no doubt. Is he the best ace in the Southeastern Conference? No. He's not better than Tomas Valenkas, who LSU saw. I don't know that he's a lot better than Ant Phillips, who LSU knocked around from South Carolina last week. Phillips has had a better year this year. But he's talented, and he can get going, and he can strike guys out. LSU has got to try to get him out of the ballgame. There are some instances where I don't really care if you get into the bullpen or not. It's all kind of the same. Once you got past Phillips last week with South Carolina, whatever. The starter's the same as the reliever. I don't really care about pitch count. This weekend's not like that. I want these starters out of the game. I want to get into Georgia's bullpen rather quickly. Dylan Vigneault is the second pitcher. Georgia has not lost an outing by Dylan Vigneault, who will throw tomorrow, since the first weekend of the year. That's the last time they lost when Dylan Vigneault started. He's another right-hander, a little bit smaller, but still big arm, 94-mile-an-hour sinker. It's heavy sink, and he's got an 86-mile-an-hour slider that is really sweepy. In SEC play this year, he's been good. 27 innings, only 8 earned runs. Opponents hit 200 against him. And pitching in that ballpark, only 1 home run allowed in Southeastern Conference play for Vigneault this year. Let me be clear about something beyond that. Those are the 2 pitchers you'll see from Georgia. We'll talk about the lineup. You know how that looks, and we'll talk to Anthony Dasher about it coming up in the second hour as well. But Jay Johnson has to be vigilant this weekend. What do I mean? Well, you need to. You need to win 2. And so you need to do everything you can to secure one when it presents itself. But here's the deal. If you get 2 and you lose the 3rd one by 11, it doesn't matter. So here's how he has to manage today. This is a today-only thing. It doesn't really apply to Saturday and certainly not Sunday, but to today, it does apply. If Schmidt gets lifted in the 3rd and you're down 5-0, you got to go to Dax Dothy, and you got to go to some guys that haven't pitched high-leveraged innings. You cannot burn Sheeran, Cowan, Garcia, Fontenot, the guys that you really trust. You can't go to them unless you are tied or have a lead. So it's imperative for LSU to get off to a good start. Because if Schmidt gets chased after 2 1/3 and you're down 4-0 or 6-2 because they just hit a 3-run homer, you can't go to your A relievers with 2 games to go that you have to win. And if you go to your B and C relievers in that ballpark against that lineup, it's a problem. Okay, it's a problem. And you might get annihilated if you get down early. Now that's okay. They all count for 1. And I feel okay getting to the ball yard with Paz and Cowan and Sheeran and Fontenot and Garcia and those guys ready to go on Saturday. Okay? And Georgia doesn't have a Sunday starter. They've been TBA, and they'll figure something out on Sunday. And that's kind of a grab bag for both teams. But That's what I'm telling you about tonight. If you get into the fifth and Schmidt needs to be lifted and you're in a 5-5 game, well, yeah, give me a guy. I'm not saving Zach Cowan if you got a chance to win. But you do have to save those guys if you get behind tonight. So that's something that Jay Johnson's got to keep in mind. The worst thing that can happen for LSU is to throw Devin Sheeran 45 pitches tonight and lose. That's what you can't have. And you can't chase, especially if Volko's got it going. So LSU's offense needs to show up early in this game and get a lead so Jay Johnson can manage from out front. You did that against Mississippi State. It didn't work. I know. I saw it. I was there for every pitch. You did it against South Carolina. It did work. Keep in mind, every loss is the same. Every win is the same. So if you got to go to your relievers down the line to set yourself up for Saturday or Sunday because you're already behind, those are the breaks. So it's imperative for William Schmidt. I'm not asking you for 7 shutout. I'm asking you for 5 2/3, a 2-run baseball, and then the offense needs to be able to get 2 or 3 over that period so you can go to your A bullets and try to win a game early on. LSU's going to go out there and play with confidence tonight. They are. But the fact of the matter is if you get behind, you can't burn your bullpen guys when you have to win 2 games. The circumstances of this weekend are different than a lot of other weekends. You're playing a team that scores a lot of runs. You're playing in a ballpark that is comical in size, comical. And you're playing with a lot of injuries and with a limited number of bullpen guys that you trust. Plus, your back's against the wall and you have to get 2. So if you need to light one on fire, this is the one you can light on fire if you're down early. We'll see how Jay Johnson manages it, but it's very, very important that LSU doesn't burn A relievers when you're losing. And that really even means if you're down by 1. Like maybe if you're down by 1 in the 8th, you might think about going to a reliever. But you're down by 1 in the 4th and Schmidt's got to come out, you got to be careful because you just can't burn your guys if you lose the game. It's a hard spot to manage from, but LSU has put themselves in that tenuous spot because of awful baseball in the middle of their season where you went 9-9 and bad baseball at the beginning of the season where you lost some games to some teams that just flat aren't any good. So LSU's playing great. They've got some confidence. I'm fully aware of what their competition level has been the last 5 games, but they're doing things a little bit better. I'm going to talk about their defense a little bit later on, talk about some of Georgia's offensive guys, and we'll hear from Anthony Dasher in an hour and 15 minutes about this from the Georgia perspective. But Georgia's close to the finish line on a top 8. They probably need to win 1 or 2 more games. Their level of urgency is not through the roof. LSU's is. You need to take it to them tonight if you possibly can behind your most talented starter in a ballpark you can hit it. Got to keep it rolling. That's the opening drive, LSU and Georgia tonight. 5 o'clock Central Time, 4:30 pregame on Eagle 98.1 over there from Foley Field. Let's take a time out. Preston Guy had some spirited thoughts on Twitter about the 24-team playoff. We'll also talk a little recruiting. What's the latest with Easton Royal? LSU looking for a 5-star corner as well. We'll talk all LSU football with Preston coming up.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. BoudreauxElectrical.com is the website. Some call it overplanning, but at Boudreaux's Electrical Services, we call it foresight. Like today, you've got one of those nasty storms rolling through. We know what those can be like in the summer in South Louisiana. It's just a drag to lose power for 5 hours because a thunderstorm rolled through, and we know that can happen. What's worse is if there's a hurricane rolls through, you'd like to ride it out, but you lose power for 8 days. That's just untenable. You can't live here during that. You got a 94-degree house. Just take that risk away. Boudreaux's Electrical will install that Generac home standby generator so you've got the peace of mind of knowing your power is not going to go out. You can get a Generac home standby generator from big box stores. You can. The service at Boudreaux's Electrical. Neil and Melissa have been doing it for 40 years. It's just different. 985-397-1562 is the number. You can also call the Gonzales location at 225-300-9389. Or do the easy thing. Go online, BoudreauxElectrical.com, BoudreauxElectrical.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Hope y'all are staying safe. Relatively dry out there. It's a wet one here in South Louisiana. Got a lot to talk about here on this Friday. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. Let's transition over to football. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com is with us on Fridays talking LSU football. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how are you?
Hi, how's it going? I just want to say this week you are my favorite media personality to come out of the city of Shreveport. Thanks for having me.
I've been reading up on Twitter. I see where you're going from that. A few back and forths from the 318. I get it. We'll be pleasant here. Let's talk a little bit about the expansion of the college football playoff to 24 teams, should that happen. I don't believe that's been signed off on, but the NCAA basketball tournament is being expanded to 76 teams, and everybody seems to believe that in a chase for cash, which is never ending, they're going to expand the football playoff to 24 teams. Doesn't sound like you're a huge fan.
No, and in fact, I wrote a whole column on it. 76 teams for basketball. It's kind of like, really? But, you know, at the point basketball is, they're not looking for great teams to make it. I mean, you can lose 10 games in basketball. That's the nature of the sport. It's fine. Like, I dislike it, but I don't think it necessarily greatly changes the sport, particularly when the field of teams is much, much, much larger. Because you talk about all of Division I. There's no FBS, FCS split there. So do I get it? Yes, I get it for basketball. Football, it is going to be detrimental to the sport. I mean, think of any great regular season game and the stakes in that game and the emotions that come when your team doesn't win or the emotions that come when your team does pull the win. Think about the hate watching you do in the Iron Bowl every year to see, man, Cam Newton is down, 28-7, boy, and then he comes back and kills Bama's chances at a title that year. I mean, these things are exciting not because you have to, do it for seeding. Like, oh, man, if we don't win this game, we're going to get a first round. We're not getting our first round bye. Right? No, that's in college football, you are on the edge of your seat for these games in the regular season, all 12 weeks of it, by the way, because all it takes is slipping up once, and that can ruin your chances. Now, a 12 or 18 playoff, you basically get one mulligan, but that's still not much breathing room. You're still talking about great teams at the end of the season having to play as hard as they can. When you do 24, you know what the most compelling matchup to see what team would have made the playoffs last year in a 2014 playoff? We're talking 8-3 Iowa versus 8-3 Nebraska. And we all know neither one of those teams are truly great. Basically what I'm saying is the college football, what makes it the greatest sport on earth, and I will stand by that for the day I die, it is the greatest sport on earth. What makes it the greatest sport is you use the regular season to identify the great teams, not the good teams, not the all right teams, the great teams, and then a limited playoff field is where you let those truly great teams, I'm talking teams that have an argument that, well, maybe they were the best team this entire regular season, and let them settle it on the field. I think they should go to 8. I think 24 is madness. I think 24 will do long-term damage to the sport, and I think the AFCA, the coaches board, these are people voting on that to happen who have direct gain from this. They get bonuses and job security based on making the playoffs, and they're just voting to lower their own bar. I think it's madness, and I think that the people making decisions are looking to make short-term financial gains, and they're willing to make a long-term sacrifice to the sport we all love for it. The fans do not want this, by the way. Overwhelmingly, the fans are opposed to this. So, yeah, I feel pretty passionate about it.
Let me play devil's advocate because I said yesterday I love 12. I think that's great. I think having more teams interested in November is good. I think you've used the law of diminishing returns once you go to 24. So I'm opposed to it as well, but I'll play devil's advocate for the discussion. What if they're chasing money, which is what they're doing, and you say, okay, we're going to go to 24 teams, and then the conference commissioners go to the athletic directors and the coaches and say, hey, we need money. You need money for players. We need revenue sources to make all this happen. You get a mulligan here because we've gone to 24. Maybe a third loss is okay. We're going to start scheduling big boys in the non-conference because the television money is the biggest money. They want big matchups. We're cutting out some of these Louisiana Techs and in North Texas is, and we're going to go schedule out of the Big Ten. Would that be then a net positive for college football if that decision is made based on a 2014 playoff that allows a slip up in the non-conference?
No, because those matchups still mean less, right? They absolutely do mean less still, because you can still lose these big-time games. The reason why you're now more open to scheduling these big-time games under this scenario is because they matter less. So inherently, with this solution, you have created a bigger problem. There are alternate solutions that do not diminish the meaning of these games. You can require them. You can. Now, again, a lot of this is, has to be done at the NCAA level. And there are problems that the NCAA no longer has power to govern its sport, and you have to address those issues. But, you can mandate these things, right? You can also say, hey, committee, we need to start weighing in strength of schedule more than we have. You have to just stop looking at the number on the right hand of your record and then sorting the teams with the same number on the right side of the column of their record based on which one you think is better. Like, you have to start looking like, you know what? Maybe that 11-1 Big 12 team, maybe they aren't quite as good as the 10-2 team in the Big 10 or SEC, right? You have to start doing that, but that still doesn't create breathing room for that Big 10 and SEC team. They're still against the gun, fighting as hard as they can. I mean, 10-2 is still a very high bar to make. When you start letting 8-4 teams in, come on, these aren't teams that belong on any national platform.
I don't disagree with you totally. I think we see a couple of things differently, but I'm on your side far more than the other side. I think that the move from 4 to 12 was great. I think 12 to 24 is goofy, but it is what it is, and they're just never going to stop chasing money. So that's the way we're going to have to live with. All right, let's talk LSU specifically, and Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, is with us. Couple of, one big commitment and some news on another 5-star from Louisiana. Let's talk about Ahmad Hudson first and how big a deal that is for Lane Kiffin's offense, and then we'll talk about Easton Royal after that.
Yeah, there's a lot of comps to Trey'Dez Green. He's a bit higher recruited, both in basketball and football. He's a much better basketball player. So there is some maybe excitement that he can bring something to the court for Will Wade. I mean, he's like a top 5 power forward, I believe. He's 6'6.5", long, athletic guy. He's a little bit bigger than Trey'Dez Green was in high school when he came out of Zachary High. So there's a hope there that maybe he can be a slightly better blocker than Trey'Dez Green has shown to be. But I mean, they're built right in the same mold. This is an elite athlete. This is a guy who can line up wide. This is a guy who can play tight end for you. Just absolutely huge pickup. You're feeling really good about that. I mean, really good to keep a guy home, by the way. That's a big deal because this year's class is going to be stacked, and I think we were all interested to see. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss did not recruit the high school ranks in the elite classes. They kind of relied on the transfer portal to build that. But one of the things that makes the LSU job special is the fact that you have guys like Ahmad Hudson. You can just reel in from a couple hours up the road. These guys grow up rooting and loving LSU, and you can just kind of keep them home. It's kind of what makes the job special. So if you don't recruit these high school guys well, LSU kind of loses a little bit of what makes it a special job. So really big news to keep Ahmad Hudson. Hopefully they can keep it going with someone like Easton Royal.
How good do you feel about that? Obviously, he's been pretty vocal on social media, but still committed to Texas.
Yeah, and, worth noting, and I've talked to people who are close to those inside the building, they don't feel super bad about where they stand with Easton Royal because he actually committed to Texas the day before Lane Kiffin took the job at LSU. So it's not like the staff was recruiting him and he told them no. So there is some hope in that. Let's see here. Looks like he's got an official visit locked in to LSU this month, May 28th. That's huge news that he's taking his OB, not only taking it, but doing it pretty early here. I mean, that's going to show that LSU's got a very live chance. Ole Miss also feels really good about him. In fact, Ole Miss just landed a kid from Central right up the road there And I believe there's some tie-ins there. If you start connecting the dots with coaches and whatnot, there's some tie-ins that's a play to get Easton Royal to Ole Miss. So they're very much still alive. Look, I think all three schools we're talking about here, Texas, Ole Miss, LSU, they're all alive for Easton Royal. I can tell you Easton Royal is there's a lot of pressure on him to stay home and play for LSU, including Peyton Houston. There's one guy who's very vocally coming after him. I mean, it's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination, but my interpretation is that LSU is very much so alive and very much so wants him.
And then Josh Dobson is a big 5-star cornerback. I always trust Corey in these recruitments, but obviously he's got a fight on his hands for Dobson. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, and Corey Raymond went to go visit him very recently.
Yep.
Now, the thing is about a guy like Josh Dobson, where there's no, home field advantage, so to speak. Like, he's from North Carolina, right? So it's like LSU has to go and be legitimately the best place for him to land when you land guys like this. But this isn't Corey Raymond's first time pulling in a 5-star corner like that. I mean, Elias Ricks was a guy who was number one out of California. And Corey Raymond just said, hey, come here, we're DBU. So we've seen this happen before, but it's just one of those things. We see A&M. We see a lot of guys lining up to get Josh Dobson. It looked a little bit more secure, actually, for LSU earlier in this process, but we talk about the number 2 corner in the country, a top 10 player overall. LSU's got their hat in there with everybody else, and they're going to have to fight and probably fight with their wallet if they want him. But he would be certainly an excellent addition to this roster, and a huge piece to add in because you're already figuring in that you've got a stacked year in Louisiana. You're going to have a good class. If you start adding a guy or two like that from out of state, all of a sudden we're talking about you're a top 5 class territory.
That would be pretty impressive for Lane Kiffin in his first full recruiting class here at LSU. Preston, have a great weekend. We appreciate it.
All right, talk to you soon.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com here on this Friday. Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Working for a late lunch. Check them out on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Get some of those jumbo Gulf shrimp. That crispy catfish, and, of course, the shoestring fries. They got your honey butter rolls, beignet bites as well. Tackle box meals for the kids. If you want to cater, they can do that as well. Big old trays of shrimp, catfish, fries, all the sauces your heart can desire. Always appreciate our friends at Courts for bringing you our Friday shows each and every week. We'll take a time out, come back. Got some thoughts on one aspect of LSU's team we're not talking about on the diamond that's getting a little bit better. We'll talk about it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closet space can be something that gets lost in the shuffle. It certainly did for me in my first house. And the wife-to-be, now wife, moved in and said, this is not going to work. Now, we were going to move, so we didn't call David Duvall. But if you're in a great spot, a great location, great house, but the closet space is a problem, customize those closets to exactly your specifications. David and his team can do it. Check out the pictures at OneBathAndClosets.com. You'll see the phenomenal work. It's customized. It's functional. It's also aesthetically pleasing. They do gorgeous work, and they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. David starts that consultation with a discussion about what you're looking for. He gets that questionnaire from you to see what you need, and he'll customize a closet to your specs. Maybe you have the space already. You need to better utilize it. Maybe you need to build a new closet. David can do that as well. It's David Duvall in One Bath and Closets. Financing options are available, 0% up to 18 months, same as cash. It's all there online at OneBathAndClosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Not a great day to cut the grass today, just be honest. If that was in the plans for this Friday afternoon, you can go ahead and shelf that one. But you got to cut it at some point because it's going to be hot and wet around here for quite some time. If you need a new zero-turn mower, Gotros Outdoor Power is your spot. Family-owned and operated for 22 years. One location in Baton Rouge, one in Gonzales. If you think, oh, family-owned and operated, like what is this, a little corner store? No, it's not. You're talking about the largest Hustler inventory in the state by a long shot. You're talking about the largest parts inventory in the state as well. The National Hustler Dealer of the Year 2 out of the last 3 years. It's not just It's not small, but you get that small family-owned customer service feel when you buy your zero turn from the folks at Gotros Outdoor Power. If you need a trailer to get it delivered, they got you covered there. You need parts, they've got trucks on the road every single day for 8 hours. That's the kind of customer service you get. 'Cause you can buy that zero-turn mower from the big box store, but do they ever talk to you again? Probably not. At Gotros, you never have to worry about that. Gotro family's been at it for 22 years. Stop by Airline Highway in Baton Rouge or in Gonzales this weekend. They're open half a day on Saturday as well. Get that zero-turn hustler and make sure your property is maintained for the growing season, which we are very, very firmly in. Find them online at gotrosonline.com. All right, I want to talk to you about LSU's defense here in a second, but let's just get you caught up on the injuries in case you did not hear about the injury report last night. Omar Cerna is not listed on the availability report. That is great news. Sounds like he will be able to go in some capacity. With a back issue that kept him out of the game on Tuesday, that's obviously a concern with him catching. And the concern there is not that he can't go out there and take 4 at-bats. His back was bothering him last weekend, and he homered against South Carolina, hit the ball into the gap in right center field. Like, he swung the bat well, and I anticipate he'll be able to give you some good at-bats this weekend. I don't know how his back feels exactly, but he's not listed on the injury report. He'll go. My concern on the other side is if Aaron Beattie's got to catch all 3 games, that's potentially sapping some of his energy at the plate, and you've got to have him swinging the bats right now. So we'll see if that means maybe an opportunity for Eddie Yaman to get back there and catch at some point. I wouldn't bet on that, but I'm just trying to think about different aspects because you can't have Aaron Beattie gassed because he's catching 27 innings and not able to give you his full commitment at the plate. So just something to keep an eye on. The rotation of Cerna and Aaron Beattie was just great to keep them off their feet one day at a time, but you're probably not going to have that with Cerna with the back injury, so we'll see. Kason Evans is questionable for the weekend. What does that mean to me? Well, it's an improvement because he was not even on the roster in Starkville. So, like, they have scrapped him. I mean, he was not on the roster last week. So they had scratched him completely, and he's better than that. He threw a bullpen on Wednesday. We'll see. I think if you get an inning out of Kason Evans, that's about as much as you can hope for this weekend. I would love it if they could get that. It would be such a shot in the arm. I wouldn't count on it. That's just where I am with pitchers' injuries. When they were saying, well, when Cooper Moore gets back, I'm going, I don't know if Cooper Moore is coming back, right? Kept saying, in the championship series, in 2024, well, Shores might pitch. It's like, but probably not. He had Tommy John, probably not going to pitch. Like, pitchers' injuries, I'm just super cautious on, so probably won't see him. Chris Stanfield, questionable on the report. The problem with Stanfield is he's got 2 injuries. The hand is obviously bothering him to hit, right? And then what else does he bring you? Well, he brings you speed in the outfield and speed on the bases. Well, 1, it's hard to get on the bases when you can't really hit because your hand hurts. And 2, if you run at 70% on Tuesday, which he did, your speed's compromised. So I don't think you'll see Chris Stanfield this weekend, and that's a huge bummer. So that means in left field, probably a lot of Tanner Reeves and Eddie Yaman in left field, which is obviously you're compromised there. Those are not your A players. Now, here's the deal with an injury that you'll roll your eyes at, but just work with me here. Zach York is on the injury report as well as questionable. He hurt his foot in Starkville, and that's one that everyone will go, well, Braun's playing great. Who cares? And Cerna's going to DH. Who cares? Sure, that's fine. But Zach York draws a lot of walks. He's left-handed. Georgia's entire pitching staff is right-handed. And the ballpark is comical to right field. So in the event that you do need a pinch hitter for a right-handed hitter in your lineup, or even, if Reeves is struggling or whatever the case may be, York is a reasonable option to come off the bench in that ballpark against an all right-handed staff and either draw a walk or run one out of a pathetic yard. So I would like to have Zach York available off the bench in this weekend. I don't know if he is or not. That's the injury side. Questionable for Evans. Questionable for Stanfield. I don't expect to see him. Questionable for York. I would like to have him to at least swing the bat at some point in the weekend. The deal is that you're probably going to get Cerna back in the lineup tonight. We'll see at a DH spot. Now, here's something I wrote about this morning, which is LSU's defense. It's still not good, but it's a little bit better than it was. You are dead last in the SEC in fielding to this point. Dead last. You're fielding 965 on the season. That's almost 20 points worse than last year. But over the last 5 games, you only have 2 errors. And one of those was Stephen Milam kicking a ground ball, which, you know what? He's the best defensive player in the country. I'm not too worried about it. But outside of that, for 5 games, you only have 1 error. Mason Braun's been better at first. He's made a couple of picks. He's fielded some ground balls. Looks okay. Jack Ruckert has gotten comfortable at second base. He's a capable defensive player. He got out over his skis early in the season and didn't field a couple of double play balls, and you understand that can happen for a young player. I heard Jack Ruckert talk earlier this week on Tuesday, and I've never resonated more with an LSU player. I'll tell you that I can't resonate with 6'8" guys throwing down windmill dunks. I can't resonate with throwing 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. I can't resonate with running 4.3 40s or rushing the passer or trying to tackle a 215-pound SEC running back. Like I can't put myself in those shoes. You want that? The morning show can do it all day long. I can't do it. I don't try to do it. What I can do is relate to Jack Ruckert putting on that uniform. And for Jack Ruckert to put on that uniform, it means everything to him because he grew up in Louisiana. He grew up an LSU fan, a diehard fan. He's been to the box growing up. He knows how important LSU baseball is. And he knows when he steps on that field, oh, my God, I'm living a dream. I can't believe I'm here. Like, what does Stephen Milam from Las Cruces, New Mexico care? What does Paul Skeens from the Air Force Academy care about LSU's history? What does Tommy White care? He's from Florida. He went to NC State. Like, I just throw the uniform on, whatever. That's not the experience Jack Ruckert has when he puts that uniform on. For those guys I just mentioned, it's just the next team. For Ruckert, it's like your whole life in front of your eyes. And you saw that when he kicked those easy ground balls early in the season. And I think a lot of you, like me, can relate to that. Like if I put that jersey on, I would just be terrified. If I put on a uniform for Arkansas State, I just wouldn't care that much. I would want to win, but like this is LSU. This is Jack Ruckert's whole life that he's been working for. So I get that, and he's played a lot better. And when LSU makes 1 error or fewer this season, they are 21-12. That's a 656 winning percentage. They win 66% of their games when they make 1 or fewer error. When they make 2 or more, they're 8-9. That's a 470 winning percentage. And coincidentally, when you look at those numbers for the 1 error or less, that's 656 baseball, 66% baseball. That's what you need the last 6 games, 66%. You need 2 out of 3. You need 4 out of 6, 66%. When they make 1 error or less, that's what they play at. So here's the deal with the defense. You're not as good as Georgia. They got starters with more skins on the wall. They got a more potent offense. They hit more home runs. They defend better. They're better than you. They are better than you. So to beat a team that's better than you, you have to show up and bring your A game. The 2023 LSU team could take on Missouri or whatever lower level team and make 2 errors and strike out with the bases loaded in the 4th and fail to get a bunt down, and they can still win the game. Because Skeens could strike out 16 guys, and Cruz could hit 3 doubles, and White could hit a grand slam, and like they could just they didn't have to bring their A game every single time to win a game. In this instance, for LSU, with your talent level and your production this year against Georgia, you have to play clean. You got to play your best baseball. Defense is a big part of that. You cannot, in that ballpark, kick a double play ball. You cannot, in that ballpark, miss the cutoff man and allow an extra base that allows a sac fly or a home run. You cannot, in that ballpark, field a ground ball and not know where to go with it. Miss second base with your foot. Things we've seen LSU do all year. You can't. You have to play clean. Now, you can have 1 game where you throw up all over your shirt. Okay. The other 2 better be clean. That's what LSU's got to do. So we'll talk to Anthony Dasher in 45 minutes about the Georgia side of this thing. But the Tigers have to be really good this weekend to go beat the team who's got the best record in the SEC. That's something you're well aware of, but it's got to be part of the defensive thing too. So we'll continue to talk about it. Anthony Dasher coming up, as I mentioned, at 2:30 this afternoon. Take a time out, come back and close out hour 1 next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Let me tell you about my friends over at Auctioner. They want you to be aware of National Stroke Awareness Month, and the acronym is BFAST. BE, balance and eyes, FAST, fast, face, arm, speech, and time. If someone in your presence is unable to maintain their balance, if their vision is affected or the eyes are drooping, if their face is drooping or it's numb, the arms are numb or weak, if the speech is slurred, if any of these symptoms happen, even if they go away, you need to call 911, get them to a hospital immediately. Strokes can happen at any age. A quarter of strokes occur with people younger than 65, and as many as 10% of stroke patients are younger than 45. Stroke affects blood vessels and neck and brain, and that's why they're called brain attacks. If anyone that's in your presence is exhibiting these symptoms, balance, eyes, face, arm, speech, time, you need to contact 911 and get them to a hospital. May is National Stroke Awareness Month. That's brought to you from our friends at Ochsner.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
This may be one of those days you find out you got an issue with your roof, right? You've got heavy rains. If you've got leaking and you feel like there may be an issue above your head, Lifetime Roofing is the folks you need to call. Check them out online at lifetimeroofingla.com. If you think you got an issue with your roof, let Lifetime come out and do an inspection. Doesn't mean you need a new roof if you've got a leak. Maybe there's just a repair that needs to be done. Lifetime is happy to do that. If you do need a new roof, Lifetime can help you out with that. Maybe you need to finance it. They've got 0% for 18 months in terms of financing, and they can offer you a lifetime workmanship warranty on that craftsmanship and on the materials, which are backed by CertainTeed. So look, if you feel like you might have a leak, don't find that out until it starts raining. Well, it's rained plenty today. If you've got an issue, call Lifetime Roofing. Check them out online at lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. All right, a quick exercise here to close out the hour. I gave you my thoughts yesterday on a 24-team playoff. I think it's silly. I think the law of diminishing returns hurts you. I don't care about the conference championship games, but I just think you're watering the whole thing down to an extent when you go to 24 teams. And somebody in CBS Sports, Brad Crawford, went through last season and looked at the top 24 and put together the bracket. Here's the first round where you're leaving out Indiana, leaving out Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ohio State, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss. You're leaving out all the teams that were the best in the sport. And here's your first round. And I went through and did an exercise here where I gave a 1 through 10 on my personal interest in these games. 1 through 10. And I wanted to average it out and see what it is. We'll do that. First game, 17 versus 16 to face off against Indiana. Arizona against USC. 1 to 10, my interest in that is a 3. I just don't really care about Arizona, USC. USC wasn't very good. Arizona, I don't know anything about them. I don't really care. James Madison against Alabama, that's a 0. I don't need to see James Madison play football. They're not any good at football. Alabama's going to crush them. What's the point? I don't care. Tulane going to Austin to play Texas. My interest level is a 2. I don't think Tulane's any good. I think Texas would destroy them. Ole Miss beat them by 1,000 twice. I don't care about Tulane in the playoff. That's a 2 for me. Houston and BYU. That's another 2. Didn't LSU play Houston in the bowl game? Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
I didn't even remember. I don't even care. It's just Houston sucks. Don't care about BYU either. That's awful. That's a 2 for me. Michigan, Utah. That's fine. I threw a 7 on that. I'm trying not to be a complete jerk here, and I'm not trying to do a bit. That's a 7. Michigan, Utah is fine. Neither of those teams was great, but it's a fine matchup. Iowa, Miami, that's fine too. That's a 7. I gave that a 7 as well. Virginia, Vanderbilt, sorry. I don't care about Virginia. Vanderbilt had a quarterback that was kind of fun. Not really into that all that much. I gave that a 3. And Georgia Tech, Notre Dame is a fine game. Haynes King, Notre Dame, whatever. I gave that a 6. So that's 30 divided by 8. I didn't do the math, but I gave those grades. 30 divided by 8. You got an average of 3.75 here. A lot of these teams stink. James Madison stinks. Tulane stinks. Michigan, whatever. I don't think that Houston is any good. I don't care about BYU either. Vanderbilt and Virginia, you can probably pass on that. These aren't great teams. And I realize the NFL playoffs don't start with great teams. I get that. And I understand the rationale behind money. But in college football, we know what championship teams look like. And I was fully on board with going from 4 to 12. Sorry, the 16's not any good for. I mean, the 24's not any good for me. I love Clemson going to Texas. I love Tennessee going to Ohio State. I think it's great that Bama went to Oklahoma. That's all great. Indiana at Notre Dame, I got room for that. That's fine. Miami going to College Station, absolutely. That is good. That is riveting television. I'm not going to miss those games. But you start pulling 3-loss teams from the Big 12, whatever Houston is. They were in the Texas Bowl. They're now in the playoffs?
Yeah, and they were playing LSU. See, Hunt, the real issue is until there's more upsets, until you start seeing more upsets, you can't start adding more teams.
I mean, that's all. I didn't even think about that when I was doing the exercise. I saw the matchups. I wrote them down. I gave my interest level. Here, just say this out loud. The team that went to the Texas Bowl
against that LSU
is in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's no way. No way possible.
What? We are furious when our teams are in the Texas Bowl.
Literally.
I would not have sworn under oath that LSU played Houston in the Texas Bowl. All those bowl games, all those Texas Bowls run together to me now. They're all the same.
Yeah,
John Trey Kirkland, we got Baylor, we got
Baylor.
Kansas State, we got Houston. I don't know what is what. I'm tuned out. I do the pregame show. I did one of those pregame shows after walking over from the PMAC from the LSU Kentucky game. I think it was the Kirkland one. But that game, I know the game starts at 8:00.
Yeah.
The postgame show host knows the Texas Bowl starts at 8. I can promise. But the Texas Bowl out of the Big 12, you're in the playoff. James Madison? I don't think so. It's just not good. Not interested. And I promise you, I'm not watching USC Arizona. I'll find a Seinfeld rewind.
You gonna put some Seinfeld on?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I mean, the Live at Lunch will be watching because they got action.
Oh, yeah,
I got no
be.
action, so I'm out. That's where I am. Couple of good matchups. Vanderbilt, Virginia, academic decathlon, Billy Madison style. We got hour 2 coming up, LSU baseball, some LSU basketball. They got a new commitment. I'm going to tell you about that after SportsCenter.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Probably not a great day to walk the lot on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, so why don't you do this? Instead, just go to FabryChevrolet.com. You can search that entire inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles, no matter what you're looking for, whether it's an SUV. They've got Suburbans, Tahoes. They've got your Yukons, Denali's. Maybe it's a truck, Silverados, Sierras. Maybe you're looking for a pre-owned. They've got those as well. Just start your buying process there. We live in a click world, right? And then once you decide this kind of looks good, you see the price, you see the features, you got the photographs, the whole deal, then you can get up to St. Francisville, take that short drive, and get that wonderful customer service that you get every single time from Fabry Chevrolet GMC. The Fabry family puts their name on it. They've been here for 35 years in our community, and their reputation stands for itself. It's because they take care of their customers. So if you're looking for a new vehicle, it's a great time to get on by Fabry Chevrolet, Highway 61 in St. Francisville.